What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe.
Nick, what's going on? How you doing this morning?
Doing great, man. How you doing?
Doing well. We're still trying to figure out if T-Bob is alive or not. He's in South Carolina with his family. Last night, he let us know that he has somehow lost his cell phone, and we got about 12 straight texts about LSU losing the baseball game, and we haven't heard from him since. So we're a little worried, to be honest with you, Nick.
Yeah, I've seen less like random screaming videos on Twitter. So, I mean, that is probably a sign that he actually might not be okay. So maybe Mario needs to go down there and find him. I don't know, but I'm a little worried now.
If anyone could find a body, it is certainly Mario. That is a good point there, Nick. All right, let's get into it. And we've been baseball heavy, obviously, Nick. We've been talking about LSU and losing to Wake Forest and facing Tennessee. So I'm sure some of the football discussion is going to be welcome. So we're glad to have you on as always. But now that we've kind of seen some of the rookies out there in an actual uniform for the Saints, I was thinking as I was getting ready to have you on today, it's like, we've talked a lot about draft choices and Kendre Miller and what this person can do, what that person can do, but we haven't really talked about Bryan Bresee, the first-round pick. I'm not just talking about with you, like in general here on the show, like we haven't really had a lot of discussion about it. It's been about the other picks and, Foskey is what's he going to do off the edge? And it's like, oh yeah, there's a first-round pick in there in a position of need. So I buried the lead. Let me ask you now. Let me not go a step farther down the road. Bryan Bresee, what did you see from him in the camps that you just had there for the Saints?
I mean, it is somewhat tough just because it's not real yet. There's no real blocking or anything. But I mean, when you watch him, the thing that does stand out, he's so fast and he's quick. And I think one of the things I was talking to Colin Saunders about this, who they got from Kansas City, and he was just kind of talking about how they design pressures on the inside, and there's like a lot of looping and guys with speed, like himself, for instance, he thinks it can benefit him a lot to make plays. And as he's talking about that, I'm just thinking about Bresee too. He's a fast attacking type of player in a defense that's very attacking and schemed up on the inside with, some of that different stuff they do. I think it can benefit him a lot. And when you watch them go through their drills, everybody's lined up, they got their hand in the dirt and, off they go. Like Bresee is just faster and quicker than everybody else on the line. And I think that's one thing you can see right away that's not going to go away. And that quick first step on the inside, especially I think might be able to surprise some interior players because they just aren't used to people getting on them that quickly. So I think that's going to benefit him really well. And then the other thing is just, he looks the part. I don't know that they've ever had a DT that quite looks like him. I've been here since 14. Maybe Nick Fairley was a little bit of that body type, but he just looks different than the other DTs. And you go out there and, you look at the group and he just kind of stands out in that pack of people just because of the way he's built. So, I think he's going to be good. He's smart. You talk to him, he understands the game. I mean, I like the pick a lot. And I think he's going to be better in the pros than he was in college. It was just so much adversity every single year for him in college. You eliminate that, get him in a position where he can just kind of play football and there's not, all this stuff happening off the field in terms of, family tragedy, health stuff, other things that were going on. I think when he can just focus on football, I think that he can be a lot better moving forward. So, I like the first step. I like the early signs from him, and I'm optimistic about what he's going to be able to do.
I mean, even the head coach, Dennis Allen, he said he was kind of surprised just how quick he was and how sudden he was. And like he said, I knew he was, but even more so once we got him out here. So like those are good things to hear because it's hard, to your point, Nick, it's hard to kind of evaluate a defensive tackle when you're not in pads. But if you're surprising the head coach after he took you in the first round with something like having that first step, at least that is a positive thing because you're right. Like he doesn't look like a normal defensive tackle out there in his uniform.
Yeah. And to your point, like just about how DA talks about him, I think that's a reason for optimism too. Like you got a creative head coach who's excited about his new guy and he's going to find ways to utilize his talents. And it's a little bit different than some of the other guys they had. So I'm sure that's got his mind going. I'm sure they're going to be really creative with him. And yeah, I like it. I like the fit. Look, if he can be good, I think it can help everybody on the edges too. I mean, that's still a major concern for me is just kind of how those edge players play beyond Cam Jordan, even Cam just at his age. But you get some interior pressure, you get Bresee going, Saunders can do some stuff inside. Nathan Shepherd looked okay too. I don't know how much we can tell yet with him either, but I think those three players are going to do a better job of just getting after the quarterback, in the pass rush than they had last year. And then that's just going to allow Carl Granderson and Cam and, some of the other guys off the edge to walk into some sacks. So it was definitely a point of emphasis this offseason. I think the early signs are, cautiously optimistic, but I don't see how they can be any worse there rushing the passer.
It is a fair point that we kind of forget because you take Bresee there in the first round, and he was someone in, college that I think we all knew coming out of high school because he was so highly rated coming out of high school. So we already kind of knew who he was. And then, as he grows as a player and he has success in college football, like you already know a lot about him. And so when you select him in the first round, like you get excited about it. But I think we forget, like they spent some real money in free agency as well to bring in some other defensive tackles.
Yeah, definitely a huge point of emphasis. I think that needs to pay off. Like if you kind of look at it like a stack of Jenga blocks, like where you're pulling things out and what could cause it to collapse, I think interior pass rush is definitely something that I think the season's going to kind of be built or fall upon. It's something that has to happen. And then, my other one is still offensive line. Trevor Penning's health is something that, I kind of got circled and, I think it's still something to keep an eye on moving forward. I don't know that they're totally out of the woods with those situations. So, I mean, those are the two things that I think I'm most concerned about. I'd say the D line definitely trended the right direction. I feel a lot better about it coming out of this camp than I did going in. Offensive line is still the major question mark that I think they got to figure out. And, I don't think we got any positive answers so far. So we'll have to see how all that stuff goes. But at least defensively, I think if it feels, you see some pieces there where going into it was kind of like, I don't know. On the edge, I'm still a little, I don't know. They feel great about their edge guys. I don't, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.